Amongst all of the web designers and web developers out there, there's one website that really stands out amongst the bunch, and that is Apple's website. Apple's website is integrated with many sections, a lot of advanced animations, and a lot of custom components. And Apple's developers are highly skilled individuals who have years of experience in coding and programming. And no beginner could just go in and create Apple's website from scratch. But that was until today. I'm going to show you in this series how to create Apple's website from scratch as a beginner using Webflow, which is a no-code tool that helps you build websites without any prior experience in coding or programming. Now this is a series and this is part 3 of how to create Apple's website with Webflow, so if you have not watched part 1 and part 2, I highly suggest you do. And so without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay, so jumping right into it, you can see that Apple 17 has come out and Apple's website has been updated fully. Nothing that we've created has stayed. And I don't know, I personally, I don't like the new design. It kind of looks like they tried to mimic the Pixels phone, but I don't know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And regarding our website, they did change the whole website, but that is nothing to worry about. We are not going to recreate the whole thing. We're not going to update ours. All we'll do is basically just continue from where we left off, and that would be 3 sections down. So 1 section, 2 sections, 3, and then next one is AirPod section. So I'm gonna make myself a bit smaller in here. And so let's go ahead and add a section. Go to your navigation, press on the body, and then let's add a section. Let's name our section AirPods 3. And then let's add padding, 60 pixels from all sides. This is something that we've done for every section we've created, so you should already know how to do this by now. And you can see that there's more than one element, so let's actually insert a container. And then the first element we have is a heading. So let's insert a heading. Right off the bat, let's go to typography and make this middle aligned. And then let's type in AirPods Pro 3. And so now that we have our heading in here, let's go ahead and insert a paragraph into our container. And I don't think we've used a paragraph before, but it's just the same as other things. Go and search a paragraph and insert it. And then I'm going to just copy over the text from Apple's website instead of typing the whole thing myself. And let's make this also middle aligned. And what I'm going to actually do is, so in here, let's use the exact spacing as in Apple's website. So just press enter on wherever you see they have started a new line. Okay, there it is. And then I'm pretty sure this is a bit bigger. So let's go into style and let's make the size 16 pixels. I think that's good. And then give it a margin of, I want to say, let's do 20 pixels. Yeah, just so it has some padding on or spacing in between the heading and the paragraph. And then pressing on the container, let's insert a text box or a text block. And then we have here available starting 9/19. I'm just going to copy that one over. And when you're doing things like this, don't really focus on the text too much. So let's say if you were building a website from scratch, don't focus on every single little heading and text. Just build the website and then go back and change some things if you feel like they need changing. That's one of the biggest things with web design and web development is overthinking. Don't overthink, just do it. And so with our text block, I want to give it some more margin. So let's give it a 20 pixel margin on top. And then while we're at it, let's give it a 20 pixel margin on bottom just because we're gonna need some spacing in between the buttons too. And you can see we have two buttons in here. What I'm going to do is just copy over the one we had before, or the very top one we did. So just copy that, go into our container, paste it, and let's, pressing on the container, go up, make this, the layout, make it a flex, and then make it vertical, and make it everything aligned to the middle. There you go. Now everything is in order. And then let's just change the styles of these. So to make sure that the top one doesn't get changed, let's give it an additional name. Let's give it AirPods. There you go. And then go into your button div on the left side and then give it an additional name of, let's say, AirPods left. And then we can change the style of it without affecting the top section. So the background, let's just change it to this. Pretty sure that's just full white. Yeah, it is. And then let's go into our text, make it black, and then make the margins, or not the margin, the border, give it a solid line, and then a width of 1 I think is fine, and then color black, and then go to your other button. Let's change this text. It should be pre-order, and the text inside the text box, you can change it, and it's not going to affect the other section regardless of if you give it a second name or not in the class. As you can see, it stayed the same. And then let's press on the button div on the right side and then give it an additional name of AirPods pods right. And then let's change the style. So the border color, let's make it black. And then the text color, let's make it black also. And then in Apple's website, you can see that when you hover over the button, there's this animation that the background changes to black and the text changes to white. So let's actually go ahead and create that right now. So press on your button div, and then on your left side, go to interactions, and let's add an element trigger, and press on mouse hover. And then you can see this pops up, and then in here, next to action, let's select start an animation, and then add an animation. So just follow everything that I'm doing. Let's name this animation button hover 1, just because we might have more animations. And then in actions, press this plus button, and then select, let's see, BG color, as you can see under styles. And then select this BG color, go down, and let me just hide this over here, and change the background color over here to black. And then the duration, let's just leave it as is. We can change it if we feel the need to. And then pressing on the plus again, under styles, let's go down to text color and change it to white. So now let's save and let's test this. And you can see that worked, but it is a bit slow. So let's go in here and let's change the duration to 0.1 second. And then same for the button div. Let's change the duration to 0.1. And under the text color, you can see in here there's a start selection. You want to change this to with previous action. And now let's save this. Let's press preview. And there you can see it worked. But now we need to make it so that when you hover out of the button, it changes back to its original color. So press on the button div, go into actions, and then press on this mouse hover. And then, as you can see, there's an on hover out option in here. And then next to your action, select start an animation. And then let's add a timed animation. Let's name this button hover out 1. And then add an action. Under styles, go to border color. Or let's delete this. This was the wrong thing to put. Go to BG color and then change that to white. Change the duration to 0.1 seconds. And then add another action, text color. And as you can remember, it should be black. And then in timing, let's change this to 0.1 seconds again and start with previous action. So let's save this. Let's press play. And there you can see it works. Okay, so this worked. And we would also do this for the other button, but I'm not going to do that. If you want to, you can. But since this is just a test website for me, I want to move on to the other things. If you want to, as I said, you can do it yourself. So then the next one is you can see is the AirPods image, and I'm going to try two different ways right now. First, let's right click on the AirPods image in Apple's website, save image, save it to downloads, and then save. And I'm going to try to put it as the background for AirPods 3 section. Let's add a background image, choose image, let's upload our AirPods image, and I just want to see how this would look. Okay, as I suspected, the AirPods image is only under the text, it is not set as background. So delete the background image, go into your container, and then let's add an image. And then let's give the image some spacing, so give it a 40 pixel margin on top, and then replace the image and place in our AirPods image that we saved from Apple's website. And as you can see, we have created this section with the only thing is that this paragraph is actually gray in Apple's website. So let's make it gray. And for some reason it's changing both of my text to gray. Which is not what I wanted. Okay, there you go. So change your paragraph to gray. If all of your text changes to gray, just go back to your heading and change it to black. It should work. Not sure why I did that in the first place, but there's a workaround around that. And as you can see, our section is created. Let's just add a bit more spacing on the bottom of our image. So press on the image. Let's give it let's do 60 pixel spacing on the bottom. There you go. And then let's move on to our next section. But before I do that, actually, as you can see in Apple's website, the background is actually a bit more grayish. So let's go to our Part3 section, and then background, let's add an image. Let's pick a color and change it to this. There you go. And our section is now ready. So let's move on to the other section. Let's go to our navigation. I'm going to close all of this. Okay, so as it turns out, the audio stopped working midway through the video. I actually went ahead and created the next section fully and recorded it, only to find out later in my editing that the audio just stopped working for some reason. So I'm going to have to re-record that section. And for now, thank you for watching. Subscribe, make sure to hit that bell icon, and share this to your friends who might be interested in web development and web design. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay tuned.